Alright everyone, I know I say this literally every single video, but try to envision 2,200 feet just straight down. And this is what I'm looking at. It's not gonna look like it in the video, but you gotta use your imagination a little bit and you'll see this is big.
This is Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park, located in Midwestern Colorado. Oh yeah, welcome to Colorado, everyone. This is my first time ever visiting this state, and well, I couldn't imagine a more shock-worthy way to kick this adventure off. Got a few flies with how often my jaw kept dropping open at the steep walls of this narrow canyon. Let me just say before we begin, filming this giant and narrow canyon proved to be somewhat of a challenge to capture the sheer depth of it. So I ended up filming in threes: wide, normal, and zoom. So forgive me if I sound like your optometrist through the course of this video. Better one or two? Two or three? One or three? And like I said before, use your imagination to enhance the images you see. Or, if you are able to, visit it yourself, because, wow.
For all my viewers afraid of heights, I apologize in advance. This is scary. This is insane. It's so steep, the drop-offs. I'm getting tinglies. You're just walking along the trail and then boom. Wow. Holy smokes.
And another disclaimer. To be honest with you all, I chose this particular location because it's been a while since I had the chance to harass you all with geology. Far too long, as I have been spending a lot of time on the East Coast near the ocean. So brace yourselves, we are going to talk about rocks now. And just know it brings me great pleasure to do so. And even more so if you just rolled your eyes.
So this is one of those parks that has a bunch of little stops along like a main road so you can get out, and they're only like a quarter mile or a third of a mile little hikes out to these different viewpoints. They're all very flat. So this is nice if you don't want to do too much strenuous hiking. I do have longer trails that you could take, but there's not as many. We could really get a good essence of the park by just doing all these little pull-off areas. Unless you want to go canyoneering, but yeah, maybe one day. So they actually call this Black Canyon because there's only a very small portion of the day where the canyon is actually illuminated and you can see it. The rest of the day it's kind of cloaked in shadow because it's so narrow and deep the sun isn't able to get an angle to get in there. So they call it Black Canyon. And this right here is a prime example of that. Wow. I don't know if it's going to come across in the video, but we'll give it a go.
The rocks you see on the canyon walls are metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rock was once another type of rock that changed forms due to exposure to high heat, intense pressure, and hot mineral-rich liquids. These types of conditions are typically found far beneath the surface of the Earth, often where the tectonic plates meet. And as we know from tectonic plates, the collision and movement of these plates will often force these rocks upwards. This is what happened here. This small section of land was forced upwards, along with a little mountain range you may have heard of called the Rockies, bringing the metamorphic rock to the surface. After that, some volcanoes erupted and did their thing, spreading lava everywhere, but the evidence of that was washed away by the Gunnison River. This river washed away all the volcanic matter and started to work its powerful force on the rock. Over the course of 2 million years, the water has eroded through the rock to form the canyon we see today. As I stated before, the canyon reaches a depth of 2,722 feet. But in most areas, it reaches a depth of around 2,000 feet, making the rate of erosion 1 inch for every 100 years.
I have a hard time mentally grasping that water is able to do this. Water is able to just carve through rock over thousands and millions of years. It's just, I can't wrap my head around it. Guys, they have what we need to see here for all of us untraveled people. I love it when they do this. For all the Northeast people out here, this one is the Empire State Building. Birds down below look like little ants flying through this massive canyon. It's so cool.
This canyon is unique from others I have personally seen because it is so narrow, being only 40 feet wide in sections of the canyon, which almost seems impossible. But it's because how fast the Gunnison River is moving. The Gunnison River has an extremely steep gradient of 45 to 95 feet per mile. For context, the Colorado River, responsible for carving the Grand Canyon, has only a gradient of 7 feet per mile. Due to the speed and force of the Gunnison River that it's able to pick up because of this steep gradient, the rock was carved through very quickly and sharply, comparatively speaking, leaving us with these steep, narrow cliffs on both sides of the river.
You know, this is a pretty Grand Canyon too. They should really consider that when they're naming things. There is a lot of power in the names of things. Grand Canyon 2. Powerful stuff, I know.
The pinkish lines you see on the darker colored canyon walls is a type of granite called pegmatite. This happened during the cooling portion of the surrounding metamorphic rock, where water and mineral-rich magma continued moving through the cooling rocks, leaving behind crystals that remained embedded in the rock. This is the painted wall in the park, and you can see how it earned its name.
So since you guys kept begging and begging me, I decided to give you what you wanted. Much better now, right? I just forget how amazing I look in this thing until I put it on again. I'm so sorry. I'll try to keep the recording of myself down to a minimum. Round 2, I win.
At the end of this hike, I couldn't help but sit there and compare the images in my memory of the Grand Canyon. How vastly different these two landscapes were, but also how they were both slowly formed over time by water. The snow-capped mountains, surrounding greenery, and dark-colored canyon, versus the bright, fast-colored, desert-like Grand Canyon. So different. Yep, both so lovely. I sat staring into the canyon for a very, very long time.
Totally sat at that viewpoint way too long and gave myself a sunburn now. I keep on packing my bear spray, but forgetting to pack sunscreen. Gotta do better. Do better. It's only gonna get worse as the summer goes on.